Hi, I'm just Canine Perspective, and I got Blaze here with me. He's a new daycare dog. He's been coming here about 2 to 3 weeks. And his owner had also asked if we could treadmill train him. We don't treadmill dogs right away. We wait till they get acclimated. So he said, sure, he's doing really well with everything else, so we'll start the treadmill. So this is gonna be technically a second time because the first clip that I recorded, unfortunately, did not record audio. I'm gonna go, but he did great. There was no issues with him on the tread. So when we introduce dogs, we always start slow. So I'm gonna turn this on. And I have him currently fitted with the slip leash here because it gives us the most control. A lot of times in the beginning, dogs tend to panic. So they want to put the brakes on and they lock up, and or they'll try to hop over the barrier. So having the slip leash here allows us to add counter pressure anytime the dog does something we don't want them to do, okay? Dogs treadmilling is unnatural because of course it's a machine and all that stuff. So we have to kind of work them through the psychological component of it. But in time, once they get it, as you can see, they can treadmill no problem, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and bump Blaze here to 8. So I'm keeping it short, but I'm not keeping it tight. I don't want to be like this the entire time. I want to make sure that I'm nice and relaxed when he's walking, because that's what's the conversation. If Blaze moves in a way, like let's say he lags too much or he tries to hop off or whatever, and I need to disagree with that, that's where the tension comes into play. And then once he gives me what I'm looking for, I would relax that tension. Of course, having it as high as possible on the neck, giving us control over the head. If you control the head, you control the body. Otherwise, if it's too low, it's gonna be more of like a wrestling match. I don't like to use the dog's flat collar because it doesn't give us as much control. Also, some flat collars are fitted incorrectly and they slip off of the dog's head. So we never clip anything to the client's dog's collar. It's always one of our own collars and or a slip leash here. So I'm gonna bump Blaze from 0.8 miles to 1.1 miles. So we little by little increase the speed, getting the dog slowly acclimated. These guys are currently doing 1.5 miles an hour. If we get a dog that requires a bit more exercise, we'll bump it up to like 2, maybe 2.5, but it's very rare. Almost all the dogs here do 1.5. And this allows us to practice calm exercise. So we do rotations, we do playtime, we do duration work. So you can probably see some dogs on dog beds here. We have ISO time for our dogs that are antisocial. And then we do treadmill time. And almost every dog can do treadmill time here. We do have a couple of dogs that have been treadmill banned because they would always diarrhea poop on the treadmill and they would ruin treadmills, okay? So here, if we go through the rotations, we have play, then they do duration work, then they do an hour of treadmill, then they go to the kennel. And then we typically only do an hour a day for our dogs. If it's an ISO dog, they'll do 2 2-hour sessions a day just because they're not getting any play activity. So to kind of compensate for that, we do an extra treadmill session. But each dog has to be slowly introduced and is always monitored by one of my handlers or myself. The first session is usually short, or the first few sessions are typically shorter, 10 to 15 minutes, and then we put the dog away or we'll put them in group or something, until we know that we can trust them to go on the treadmill on their own. They'll still be supervised. We always have people in the space to supervise, and we have an emergency knife in case something were to happen to cut a leash very quickly. But for the most part, I would say about 98% of our dogs are able to just hop on the treadmill and do their thing, okay? Because it's just we do this every day. It's just a part of our daily activity. We don't charge an extra fee for treadmill or anything like that. So, with the slow introduction, it allows us to work the dog through any panic, any fear, any nervousness. I can never predict. Every dog is different. I'm gonna bump him to 1.3 here. I've had completely stable dogs freak out, and I've had very fearful, nervous dogs be treadmill champs from the get-go, very little help from us. So the dog's kind of personality type or demeanor doesn't really matter. Every case is different. We figure that out when we introduce him. Blaze, as I said earlier, on his first go-around, was very easy. Pretty much the same thing that you're seeing here. He did try to hop off once, and I had to bring him back, and then he continued walking, no problem. but unfortunately the audio did not record there, okay? So if I have my leash relaxed, you can see I'm kind of keeping his pace. I'm gonna bump it up, we're gonna go to 1.5. So we do have dogs that can treadmill on their own. We could even have the leash off and everything, and they stay on the treadmill, they're great at it. However, we still do put a collar on them, because if they happen to get off and then decided to explore, like we do have dogs here that are reactive or antisocial or dog aggressive, and we don't want them coming off and then approaching the wrong dog. Even if the dogs are muzzled, again, it's just a safety precaution. We always have someone in here to monitor, so in case something happens, we can easily and quickly remove them. So Blaze continuing to do very well. I'm gonna bump him up, we're gonna go to 1.8 here, which is not really a speed that we do. We usually cap it at 1.5. But just to show, like if he starts to slow down or anything, I would put tension on him, and then once he would correct, I would relax that tension, which is why we use a slip leash. Blaze is not a dog that has been trained by us, because I could technically use a e-collar to tap him. So like here, there was a little bit of a delay, and I put some pressure on him, and then he sped up, and then I relaxed it. So the slip lead, like right here, allows me to give a correction when the dog does something incorrect or something that we don't want, to help them learn how to treadmill. We have to have something that says don't do that, okay? And that's where the slip leash comes into play. Otherwise, if he's doing great, I'm keeping everything relaxed, because that's the conversation. So he goes, when I feel this, that means I'm doing something wrong. When I feel this, that means I'm doing something right, okay? To help guide the dog. Doesn't take a lot, at least not with Blaze here. Again, take it to it very, very easily. Some dogs, it's constant tension until they figure it out, and then you relax. It's a bit more nuanced, but once you get the feel of it, it's very easy, very straightforward. Good. First sessions we keep fairly short, 10 to 15 minutes. You can see him kind of stress panting here, because this is psychological. He has to like kind of go in a zone, so to speak, to keep this on his own. I'm not keeping him here. I'm not forcing him here. He's now kind of understanding what the expectation is. So then over the next few times that he's here, we'll do a few more sessions with him, and then once we can trust him, we'll start to treadmill him like the others. Again, still always supervised. So I'm Jesse with Canine Perspective, joined by Blaze. Thank you for watching.